I'm in my zone. I feel it. I feel the energy.
Gotta feel it.
Satoshi.
Satoshi's energy, man.
Oh, but we over 9,000. I don't know.
Bitcoin, all these things that are actually treated as property, they have this sort of the ethos of a currency because they can be used to exchange for things. But in reality, this is this another sign of humanity moving back cyclically to where we were thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago,
Because
to
we
a barter-based economy.
Buddha blesses me.
What's going on, crypto cousins? It's your Bitcoin baby daddy here with another episode of Crypto and Culture. You know, I like to go ahead and get these interviews on with some of the most influential people in the space.
Right
now,
on.
I had to, I had to big you up real quick. They
You
don't
gotta
know.
hype
They don't
me up
know.
like that.
What? We gotta do it. We gotta do it. But, so we have Hashoshi. We're just, I see. The thing is, I can't say Hashoshi without like fucking it up every time, and I'm like, oh god, I got it right this time. Yes.
Hey, there you go. Actually, that wasn't bad. Honestly, there've been there's some criminal pronunciations of that out there.
Criminal?
Hey, but that's on me. That's on me for picking a name and sticking with a name that's hard to say and hard to figure out. So hey, there you go.
Oh,
You can blame me.
But yeah. So back to bigging you up, saying what is up. But this is Hashoshi from Hashoshi. That's the YouTube
Yeah.
channel, isn't it? I'm about to say, like, what is that kid? I know he's Hashoshi, but what is this YouTube channel? Oh, it's Hashoshi.
There you go.
I feel silly. But we got Hashoshi here from Hashoshi. He's another cryptocurrency tech, and he's also a developer, YouTuber. I'll say influencer because apparently YouTuber is a bad thing to say anymore, but
Yeah,
who cares? But yeah, guys. So thank you so much, Hashoshi, for coming on. Can I call you Forrest?
You can, man.
Yes, I'm gonna say Forrest because I feel like I'm just gonna keep saying it and utterly
Totally cool,
just
man.
destroy it. But thank
Yeah,
you so much,
absolutely.
Forrest, for coming on the show. I wanted to bring Forrest to the show for you guys so that way you can. I've had a couple of interviews, but now I want you guys to get it from like a developer's point of view, someone who actually understands code. So
Right on.
thank you so much, Forrest, for coming on the show. But how's it been, man? How's it going with you on this pandemic, bro? You know, I got to bring that up first.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. But it's been going okay. Honestly, I do a lot of work from home already before all this because you can develop and you can do any job now remotely for the most part. But I've been doing it for a while, so at least work wise, it hasn't changed a whole lot. I'm just a lot busier now, shockingly enough, because I think everybody just wants to get more done because they're home. There's no separation from work and play.
Yeah, so I've noticed that a lot in my job as well. Audience knows that I'm a tax accountant, and they're expecting the same level of productivity, if not more, now that you're home. So they're like, hey, you don't have to travel or go get food or anything like that.
It's extra hours, man. It's extra hours.
So that's crazy, but at least you're good, and it also proves that the internet withstands pandemics. They could if you have a job on the internet like that uses the internet some form, you don't have to be in the office, you don't have to leave home. But at least you're doing good. I'm doing well. But let's just first thing. How'd you get into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin? How'd you find the blockchain from, I guess, your developer's perspective side?
Yeah, absolutely. So I quite literally stumbled upon Bitcoin way back 2008, 2009. I stumbled upon. Have you ever used that?
No, I've never used that.
It's like I guess it's like a website. You go on and you click, just stumble, and it sends you to random places on the internet to read something cool or to find something cool. You pick subjects you like. So back then I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life because I have so many interests. I was interested in economics. I liked technology. I liked, hardware and software. I just couldn't figure out what I liked. And so I stumbled upon this white paper. I read the Satoshi white paper then. I was actually in a class, so I wasn't paying attention, of course. And I just fell in love with the concept because it integrates all those different cool things. It integrates psychology, sociology, economics, code, technology, money. It's all sorts of things. And so after that, I printed it out and I annotated it, and I still have that copy somewhere.
Oh hell yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
it's cool. I
something.
gotta find it. I really want to find it and frame it and put it in my, my backdrop. But after that, I just stuck with it, and then Ethereum came into the mix. And at that time, I was, still learning and developing my coding skills. And so Solidity came out, the language. I think this was probably like, 2015 when I really caught on. I just kept with it, and then fast forward a little while longer, I got a job, and for the last 4 years or so, I've been doing dApp development full time.
Okay.
And yeah.
And so you learn. So for people who don't know what Solidity is, it's essentially the code language, or how you how you build things on like Ethereum, the Ethereum network. How do you build like so if you were to look at like your cell phone apps, all those apps were built off of a code. Usually the iPhones, what do they use? Is that like C++ or like, I don't know?
iPhone apps, they use Swift and some JavaScript.
Okay, cool.
There are a handful of different languages. But yeah, Solidity, if you want to think about what a dApp is, like a decentralized application, it's really just some code that runs within the blockchain network environment.
Okay.
And, like DeFi is huge right now.
Right.
All the DeFi products is, instead of having an intermediary like a bank issuing loans, you have the smart contract or a Solidity code, piece of Solidity code that is the intermediary instead, right? So you're replacing people and an entity with sort of like almost like robots,
Okay. Yeah. So you just blew. I feel like you blew like everybody's mind right now. Like, wait, what? How did we get here? But
hey, that's what you get when you bring me on the channel.
See, the thing is, because I get what you're saying, because I watch your channel, so I'm like, okay, I get this, I understand this, but I'm just in my like, oh, they're lost already. They're gone. But
hey, well, I think the way that you learn this stuff is it's a brute force. You just stick with it and you keep reading, you keep learning, and eventually it'll click.
Yeah, because it has to eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not slow. Like, let's be real. But so going back into that, so what a dApp, what a decentralized app, what DeFi is. So in the cryptocurrency space, we have this idea of like removing the middleman. And essentially what you're doing is you're building apps that are removing the middleman within the app. So when we're talking about like the DeFi space, there are a lot of financial tools that we can use in this world, but for us to use these financial tools, we have to go through intermediaries, which will always take a cut, or even that you don't even know if you can really trust them or not. All these other situations. But with this new concept of a smart contract, that pretty much it is what the name. It's like a smart contract, a contract that will operate on its own once the requirements are filled to fulfill the contract. So like say that you want to buy a house, but then you have to sign a contract with a bank or whatever, both you and the bank have to sign it. But in this smart contract on a blockchain, there are different ways to sign it to where you can it happens automatically. Like so back in the 2017 era, when we had ICOs, a smart contract would be send me X amount of Ethereum and you will automatically get back this XXX token that will pump magically somehow. but that was what was happening. That's how some of the first smart contracts were being done. They're like, oh, we're going to make ICOs with them. And now they're like, well, we can do more with smart contracts. We can make actual financial products without people, without middlemen. And I think that's just without people, without middlemen. That's one of the first, like, I guess pillars, philosophies, some of the things that, Satoshi, the original, individuals in this space are like, decentralized, removing middlemen and being able to operate freely. But thank you for that insight. I had to come in and break it down a little bit, because I'm like,
for sure, man.
I get it, but I don't know if they get it, but we gonna get it together. You get what I'm saying?
Right on. Yeah, exactly. I hear you.
So, currently, what are you working on right now? Because I remember you were working on, I believe earlier you were working on like Tron dApps and like learning how to do it on Tron dApps. Are you still working on Tron dApps, or just like a wide scope of things?
It's a wide scope of things. Honestly, I would say 90% of my work is on Ethereum-based applications. And when you're building a decentralized application, I think people think of it like magic, right? It's like, it's a smart contract. and it does this cool stuff, and then you make a ton of money and all that. In reality, the smart contract and the blockchain part is only a piece of the application, right? The traditional mobile apps and traditional web applications that you use on a daily basis, those are still used, right? You still need to build out, you might still need a database. You might still need a web application or a mobile app for people to use to interact with the blockchain component. So a lot of my work centers around Ethereum and the smart contract part, but then another large part, maybe even larger, is building a traditional app to serve that to customers, right? And to serve that to users.
Okay, perfect.
So, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no. I like it. So I wanted to ask you this question. So there's this game that's coming out for I don't know if you heard about it, LightNight. It's like using the Lightning Network as like I believe the Blue Wallet, but they have their own little database where they're keeping. Now they said that for them, like they didn't want to put a video game on a blockchain because it just wasn't ready for that. So one of the things that I think about is like gaming is going to be one of the real things that really pushes this to like the next level. Maybe not next year, maybe not 5 years from now, but then when people finally get tired of, hey, I'm gonna buy a video game and then every month they're gonna charge me to keep this video game going. Like I think that whole model is gonna burn out, and people are gonna finally realize that these loot boxes or these items, cosmetic items, have no value.
They're air.
They're air.
Yeah.
And so no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the idea that a video game has to be executed and run on the blockchain, to me, doesn't make sense. But parts of the business model, the way that you manage the ecosystem of a video game, that should 100% be on the chain, right? So I think when you move from blockchain for the sake of blockchain to blockchain for a specific problem that you have to solve, that's like the magic thing, right? Because there are a lot of projects that in the 2017 era that were like, people were just slapping blockchain like a tag on everything, right? Where you don't need one. And there are ecosystems too where you might want to use a blockchain where you don't need a damn token, like a token doesn't add value. And so, I guess it's opinion in some cases where you need a token, where you don't. I get it. There's people agree and disagree on that. But the truth is that not every piece of code needs to be a smart contract. It can very much be a traditional piece of code that executes as a mobile app or as a web app or wherever. And then you have an isolated piece of that problem solved by a blockchain and a token and stuff like that. So in the video game space, you're totally right, man. I mean, we're going and we're already getting to the point where non-fungible tokens like crypto collectibles.
I was gonna go right into that, saying, so what are your thoughts on like non-fungible tokens and digital collectibles? Because those are, I mean, granted, isn't that how like Bitcoin started? It was, a collectible, like it was more of a nerd thing. And then over time it became more than that. Isn't that what things of value usually start off as, a collectible, and then it becomes very, very rare. And then next thing you know, it's worth millions.
Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing. Everyone that's alive today, right, has been alive in a world where fiat currencies, paper currencies especially, have been around, and that's what you value everything in your life based on how much of that it's worth, right? Yeah. If you're in the UK, it's the pound. If you're in the US, it's the dollar, whatever. That's the only difference. But with this stuff, with non-fungible tokens, with Bitcoin, all these things that are actually treated as property, they have this sort of the ethos of a currency because they can be used to exchange for things. But in reality, this is another sign of humanity moving back cyclically to where we were thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, because a barter-based economy.
And the thing is, it's funny how like we really do run in these cycles as like humans, like, and people really don't think, no, that's not, we're not going to go back to a system like that. But we're slowly are. I was just talking to one of my friends, and he just had got this, of course he was gloating. He had got this hibachi grill, and he's like, man, I just got this hibachi grill. I had to test it out. That's why I invited you guys over. I'm like, yeah, you bastard, whatever. And then he was talking about how he didn't buy the hibachi grill. He's like, no. I traded traded 2 like tablets for this hibachi grill because I didn't really need those tablets, but I had them, and I traded those 2 tablets for this hibachi grill. And I'm like, and then when you go into like Facebook Marketplace, people are willing to trade more than just money.
Trade stuff. Yep.
And I'm like, oh, people are getting comfortable with this again. They're and so I can see I when people say this is not like, we don't run in cycles like this, how we're not gonna switch back to a barter system. I think we are now. Granted, who knows if this fiat money is gonna crash tomorrow, because Goldbug's been saying it for years and we're still not crashing. But I just don't want to be that person, but I can see us just like slowly moving from that system when people realize, I'd rather have this item than the money. I'd rather have this than the money.
Yeah, I think it's just that we're starting to decouple and pull away from the idea that there is one medium of exchange for an entire society. Like the thing about bartering is the most important part of the exchange agreement is what is useful to the other person, right? It's, if you have something that's valuable to me and I have something that's valuable to you, it doesn't matter what someone else says these things are worth if it's worth something to you, right? In Bitcoin is that way. Some people think it's worth nothing. So if I tried to pay someone in Bitcoin that thinks it's really worth nothing, realistically to them, it isn't worth anything, regardless of what anyone else says. And so, the barter economy that we're kind of moving back to is very interesting in that way, because you're going to see people who value things differently than others. And I guess it does make society more borderless.
Yeah, it makes I think it not only makes it more borderless, I mean, it makes it a little more difficult, but I think the whole bartering system is way better than just instant like gratification, because that instant gratification can really lead to like buying something you don't really need. But the fact that you can instantly get gratified and have it, it's like you don't have to barter. That's why I feel like some of these like auction houses, like kind of how like eBay started off like an auction house, and kind of how people don't really, like, in my perspective, people don't really go on eBay that much because they don't really want to deal. I mean, granted, you can still instantly buy, but people still have that like, oh, I want to try to get the best price out of this. And so just seeing that more people are starting to do that makes me think maybe eBay might have a good comeback soon. Who knows?
Yeah,
but then,
who knows?
Then you have Facebook Marketplace, and it's like, wow. But stepping away from that for a second, and I want to ask you about something completely off topic, because I know this is like more like an intro thing, but so this is something that happened to me yesterday, and I wanted to see what are your thoughts on it. So yesterday my ex-girlfriend, her brother had text me. He's like, hey, blah 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 blah. I'm like, cool, whatever. And then later on that day, he had sent me, because I have Cash App, and he had sent me a message on Cash App requesting like $150, and I can literally read you how the message went. And so he asked for $150 for urgent. I will send back 230 minutes. And I sat there and read this. This looks like an Ethereum scam, because it's like, send me this and I'll send you that back, because that's how all of them work. And so I called him today, because I declined it immediately because it just looked like an Ethereum scam to me. And I called him like, why did you ask for $150 on Cash App? And he's like, oh, bro, that wasn't me. Please, hopefully you didn't send any money. My Cash App got hacked.
Yikes.
And then it's like, oh crap, your Cash App got hacked. And I'm like, yeah, they must have taken it from my number or something. I'm like, well, Jack needs to hurry up and figure that out.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, why would they ask for it on Cash App if it's going to go directly to his bank account anyways? And then I'm like, oh shit. Cash App has like 50% of their revenues came through Bitcoin. And I'm like, oh, once they send him the money, instead of going through their bank, they're just going to buy Bitcoin and then withdraw it from the wallet.
They'll move it out. Yeah.
And then
I mean, even then you could add your own bank account. If once you hack into someone's account, you have full access, you could add. Yeah.
But then, I think that'd be like an easier way to get traced back, because now you just attached your bank account to it. I mean, granted, Bitcoin, you're going to get traced regardless. But I think that's, and I was like, and of course, this is like a little bit of a newer. And so I wanted to ask you, how do you think they're getting into their Cash App accounts? Like,
well, And listen, I'm going to preface this by saying this is not an aside to this guy whose account got hacked, right?
Right.
I'm not coming at him personally.
No, you're totally
But I'm
fine.
saying the average person uses the same password, and I'm sorry to say this, a shitty password for every service they use, right?
Yeah.
So the first error is that you have a shitty password that's, an English word that's in a dictionary, or one that's personal to you, right? Like your last name, or your girlfriend's name, or whatever, your dog's
and
name.
a combination of a birthday.
Yeah. And then a number that's probably your birthday or your bank PIN or your phone number or something, right? That's a weak password, right? You want to create passphrase, right? That is a special characters, symbols like ats, hashtags, exclamations, etc., plus multiple words that are separated by numbers, right? And you can do that really easily. It's easy to remember once you practice a little, right? That's the first step. The second step is people use the same password for every site, right?
Mhm.
So if one website gets hacked, and websites get hacked all the time, databases get hit all the time. Now they
Blockchain.
have they have your email. The hacker has your email and your password combination. That goes out on the dark web. Now, anyone who wants to go after other accounts, they can go on Twitter, right? And they can identify you, because most people respond to Cash Apps like giveaways with their cash tags.
That's why
right?
I knew it. I knew it.
And
oh
so
my God.
they canvas to find people that they know their name and that they have cash tags. They might be able to find their email. They go on this dark web database,
Whatever.
database repo or whatever. They either buy it or they pick it up, and then they just go through one by one and try and find email that matches.
Who's gonna get suckered in?
Right, because the average person uses the same passwords,
And they don't have 2FA
for everything, and they don't have 2FA, or they have the worst thing on earth is SMS 2FA. If you're using it, get rid of it. It's worse than not having it. Period.
Really? Oh, because
It's worse.
I think you'll definitely just get targeted by the people that work at the phone companies. If you think about it.
Yes, but the reason is because SMS 2FA, like text two-factor authentication, it's super easily hackable, right? And what it is it's a superpower for a hacker, because once they have SMS 2FA, all of the websites that use it treat that as like God mode, right? If you have that code, you're secure and you're definitely the person we think you are. But in reality, it's too easy to hack. So if someone wants to reset your password and they try and go through this reset step, even if they don't have the password to that website, if they get in your email and they have the SMS code, they can still reset your password and get in. So it's bad. You don't want that.
No, it is that, because I have a nephew and I have like a Google Family account. So anytime he like messes up and changes his password, I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
Go in and fix it. Yeah.
Go in and fix it. But I'm like, I see him changing his password every time, and I'm like, how is he doing that? And I guess he has like his own little 2FA thing on his, and I'm like, bro, like, you could this could be changed at any moment, at any second. It's so easy. Now, granted, when he becomes he's like 13, when he gets like 23, this is going to be more like 2FA is going to be second knowledge to him. But a lot of people right now don't even know what 2FA is. They only see it like at work. Like, oh, I didn't know this is a real thing
required.
I could do, where it's forcibly required. And they're like, oh, I didn't know I could just do this for like my Google account or my iPhone, where I'm like, when I found out I could do it on my iPhone, like I think a year or two back, I'm like, oh my God.
You want to see the best? You want to see the best money that you can spend to secure yourself online? This thing. It's a YubiKey.
It's a YubiKey.
It's YubiKey, YUBI key.
Okay.
It is the best money that you can spend. You'll see it's got the iPhone connector. You plug this into your phone, right? And unless you plug this physical device into your phone, it won't unlock your 2FA keys. So even if someone has remote access to your phone, they've SIM swapped your phone, they still can't get to your codes because they need this. And it's a physical thing. So unless someone holds you at gunpoint with this thing in your hand, takes your phone and makes you plug it in, which there's nothing you can do to protect yourself from that. It's the best thing that you can do. And so, I mean, for people that have their bank accounts and other things, like if you've got your life savings there, spend $100 and get this and secure it, because, it's better than having that exposure. So I do a lot of content about how to protect yourself and how to prevent yourself from getting hacked, because I'm super passionate about it, because websites do not do, like big services, even Facebooks and Googles, et cetera, they don't do enough to teach people best practices and to prevent them from making mistakes that get them hacked.
I think it's because of like some of the railways that hackers use to get your information. That's the railways that Google uses to send you ads. Is that true? Because I remember you were talking about something about that a couple episodes back. Just like all the trackers, the tracers, and everything like that.
For sure, yeah. But I think the number one thing people need to know and to clean up is making better passwords and mixing up passwords across sites, because then if stuff happens, something gets hacked and they get your email and password, the last thing you want is for hackers to be able to buy those passwords for $20 and then hack into other accounts that you have because it's the exact same credential combination.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, and I'll tell you this, like Zoom recently, they were in the news for having 500,000 clean authentication combinations for their user accounts published on the dark web. I would say a large proportion of those, the hackers were able to figure out for free. And the reason why is because a lot of people are reusing passwords in 2020 that they still used in 2013 and 2015. And so on the dark web, you can get these password databases from hacks that occurred in 2013 and 2015 for free. So then if you can use those to figure out which logins are still legitimate, you could build a new database of passwords and username combinations that are viable. And that's, I'm pretty sure, what happened.
And so this really goes into this whole idea of like digital identity. So I'm getting like text messages from because all the political stuff, we got presidential debates, we got all this coming up, and of course I'm starting to get those text messages. Hey, this is your local Democrat, Mackenzie, how are you doing? And I'm like, how do you know this is me?
And how do you have my number, man?
How do you have my number? And where did this, how did you get this information? And and I think it's almost frustrating to know that all my information is somewhere out there. I have a Coinbase account, of course, because that's how I first got into crypto, and they allow you to see all the login attempts on your account. And I remember this is why I need 2FA. I was seeing Afghanistan, Australia, all these different IP addresses from different I'm like, what in the world? How are you even coming from me? How do you even know my name? And they're just attacking. How do you even get this close? You have to have my email address and some idea of what my password is. But of course, you get stopped out at the 2FA section. So
you
now
get stopped out because you don't have that. But that's when they determine, especially if you've tweeted or you're on Instagram or you're on YouTube or something, and there's some public way to show that you might have some resources there to steal. Hackers go for honeypots, right? They go for places where they think there's wealth and there's stuff to steal. They're not going to necessarily hack someone they don't think has anything that's worthy of stealing. And that could be either resources like crypto or money, or that could be resources that are worth money, that you can use to extort. And you see this happening right now with, I don't know the specific name of the agency, but there's an agency for celebrities, might be a law office that has private files and legal agreements and stuff pertaining to a bunch of celebrities that got stolen. And these hackers are asking for a significant amount of money to get it back because this is private information, right, about notable people. And increasingly now, corporate secrets are things that hackers go for because corporations have a vested interest in keeping these things internal, trade secrets and things. Right,
of course, all the 2008 stuff.
Yeah, they'll pay. I mean, and not even secrets of wrongdoing, trade secrets, how we do business, how we make money.
Oh, and
the secret sauce, right?
Yeah, the secret sauce. Okay.
Yeah.
Krabby Patties.
I was going to say the proverbial Krabby Patty secret formula. I'm so stoked that you got that.
No, that's the first thing that popped in my head.
I love it, man.
Krabby Patties.
Yeah, the world goes around together because of SpongeBob. But
thank you, SpongeBob.
Truly. But hackers go for that because in the interest of protecting their ability to make money in the future, businesses will pay ransom to get that stuff back. You know,
because they don't have a choice. I remember, and a lot of these hackers are now asking for Monero or Bitcoin, which I was like, is this just a common thing now? Like they just want it in Bitcoin. They just want, and sometimes I feel like those are just headlines just to be thrown out there to excite like newbies or whatever. But like, I'm like, no, they're really asking. I remember last year, Miami, I believe a hospital in Miami got hit. And it was literally a hospital in Miami got hit, and they're like, nah, guys, we want it in Bitcoin. We just shut down the power in the whole building. Send us Bitcoin, and they paid it like it was nothing. There's nothing they could do because like all their servers are on like one database and everything.
Yeah.
So, but last question, because I like really like digging into, because you can answer questions. Sorry, I'm stuttering as hell. You can answer questions like about like more of like the data side, the more developer side of it. How would like a person like myself or a person like yourself, because we really got into this like identity and protection of yourself, like if we know that we're gonna try to be like influencers about like digital cryptocurrency or just like hacking and protecting yourself, what are some of the basic things I need to do as being this person to protect myself? What are the things that I need to look for?
Yeah. So top 5 things. First thing is be selective about what you share, right? Mm-hmm. Because like, for example, if you know you're sharing a picture with your mom, right? And you're like, this is my mom, she's great. And you put, her name, you tag her on Instagram or whatever. What's most people's first security question on their bank? What's your mom's maiden name?
Done.
Where's your mom's maiden name? On her Instagram, right? So it's like, it's easy. It's too easy. So just be careful about what you share. And knowing what you share, be careful about what security questions you pick for your password recovery, right? That's number 1. That's easy to do. It's super easy. Number 2 would be spend $2.99 per month to get a password manager so that you don't have to remember new passwords every time you create them. Create a new password for every single account you have. Does it suck? Yes. Yeah. But does it suck a lot less with a password manager because you only have to remember one really strong password? Also, yes. So get a password manager, use a new password for every site. That way, if one gets hacked, all the rest are still safe. Okay. That's easy. Number 2.
Wait, how do the password managers not get hacked themselves?
Great question. Password managers use something called a zero knowledge architecture, where you have a master password, right? That's the one password you have to remember. And so what happens is locally on your device, that master password is used as an encryption key to encrypt all of your password bundle on the device. Okay. Right? The only thing that goes up to the password manager servers where it might get hacked is the encrypted ciphertext, right? So that's the nonsense encrypted material that no one can get unless they have your decryption key, which is your master password. So a zero knowledge architecture means that the password managers like Dashlane, Keeper, etc., they never have access to your raw passwords or the decryption mechanism to get to those. So if a hacker goes and takes everything on Keeper's side, the only option they have is to brute force decrypt that, and it would take thousands of years currently to do, maybe longer. Good. Okay. So cool. That's the general model. It's simplified, so it's not a perfect explanation, but that's generally how it is.
It made sense to me.
And then add 2FA to everything that you possibly can. Okay. And for really really sensitive accounts, talking banks, crypto exchanges, use a hardware-based or Google Authenticator-based 2FA, not SMS ever. And if the account that you're using doesn't offer 2FA or they only offer SMS, don't bother using it. Cancel your account. It's not worth it because you don't want those resources exposed ever. That's a tip. And then also, to make it harder on a potential hacker, create a special email. It can be a Gmail account because it's free. That is a random arbitrary ass thing. Just go online and say random number generator, right? And just get a random number and make that your Gmail. Random number at gmail.com, right? And use that random unguessable email for all your sensitive accounts, crypto exchanges, banks, etc. Write down the number so you don't forget, on a piece of paper, and use that, and don't send emails from it. It's a secret email that no one knows about, and you only use it for those accounts. That way, no one can say, okay, now I know Kenzie's email. I'm going to now try and figure out what bank he has by going to the password reset and waiting for one to get accepted. So now I know, oh, his email works on CapitalOne.com. So I know this is an account he has. So now I'm going to go for the password. That's how people do it. But if no one knows your email and it's never used anywhere else and they don't know whose identity it's tied to, they can't do that. So create an email specially for those accounts that you never share with anyone. That way it can't be brute force that way.
Okay. Bro, it's crazy how
little
people
trick.
Look, no, it's crazy how your email address is really part of your identity now.
It's the ticket to everything, your email, because your email is the account. Same with the phone number to an extent, but your email is the ticket. If you have to secure one thing, secure your email, because your email should be not so widely shared. It should be secured with hardware 2FA, and it should have a strong password. And if you do that, then you're going to save yourself a lot of pain, because it makes it a lot harder to get to everything else.
All right, facts. All right, bro. I want to say once again, thank you so much for coming on the channel, bro. I can't wait to have you. We didn't really get into price speculation stuff, but
we could talk for 2 hours, man.
No. Now we have to talk for 2 hours because now we can go to like deep dive into speculation. But I always try to get the first interview, just good 30 minutes, let people enjoy it, and get quick. Where can everybody find you right now? Because I'm gonna completely hibachi your name right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you tell everybody where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. I do crypto and tech videos every single week on my channel Hashoshi. That's HASHOSHI. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm very active there. My handle is @Hashoshi 4, and you can always reach out to me there too. So thanks again for having me, man.
All right, bro. Thanks again. Guys, go show him some love. Go hit the very first video you find of his, link in the below. Hit the very first video. Let him know that the Crypto and Culture family sent you. Other than that, check me out next time. Take it easy. Peace.
Take it easy.
Yeah. And then